Hello, welcome to the Living In Salida Podcast. Today, I'm going to be chatting with somebody who's normally behind the scenes on this podcast, Andrew Stossmeister. He is the sports director and general manager for Heart of the Rockies Radio, and he will give us some good insights into what it's like to live here as a parent and some good insights into the community of both Salida and Buena Vista, so all of Chaffee County. And like I said, he's the sports director, so we can also talk about some sports in Salida and, whatever else comes up.
So whatever else comes up.
Thanks for having me on here.
I appreciate it, Monica. Very kind of you.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with you where I start with everybody. Tell us your Salida origin story. How did you get here?
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking when I got to Salida in 2014, I knew where Salida was, but I had no idea really what it was all about. So it's been really cool to now be here, 11 years later and be just enjoying such a fun place that, I took a job out here and I've loved it so much. I left and, came back after COVID and that fun that went through it. So it's great to be back out here and enjoying just a wonderful place to live.
So were you in Denver before here? Where were you?
So before here, yeah, I spent time in the Midwest. I'm originally from Denver, but the radio job and the TV job I chased for 7 years and then got a chance to come back to Colorado, and Colorado's always been home to me. So It was great to be out here. And then I left after 4 years, moved to Texas, worked in college for a while, had a great time, but I had my son and, COVID happened and I'm like, I'm just ready to go, do some different things. And Colorado mattered a lot more to me than work. And so at that time, it was like, I had a great opportunity for a great person that I work for here in Gary Buchanan. And he asked me to come back and it's been wonderful since then.
So you came back in what year? 2020?
Yeah, it's 2021, 2022. Okay. I came back for the next year right after all the COVID thing, which for high school sports in Colorado was just absolutely chaos because things went on to like the summertime. I mean, it was crazy how it went that year. So it was definitely very different to come back to that and try to help restore normality, if you will, to the area.
That's right. Everything was totally off. I do remember that because my husband was a track coach at the time. Yeah. And yeah, that's right. Because the meet was, I want to say, in like June.
Yeah, it might have been like 4th of July when they were doing some stuff. Like baseball played super late that year. So
yeah, and they were trying to figure out the mask situation. So like there was a minute that there was like wearing of masks during races that was quickly realized was not safe.
Yeah.
They had to hold it.
No, it was super weird. I mean, You watch people practicing and I'm like, man, it was really different. And when I worked during COVID, I actually got to go to the games when I was covering college stuff in Texas, and it was me and the teams there usually. Like, that's it. So it was a very unique experience. Like, we always had to go get tested actually like twice a week just to make sure that you weren't affecting anybody else. So that was quite the experience. I'm so much happier to be back in Colorado and a little bit more normalcy.
Totally. Yeah, I feel like we're all just, that was a dream of stuff.
Yeah, you're like, what happened? I don't.
Fever dream. That was the word I was looking for. So yeah, now we're back to normal. And you're here and you're thriving in the Salida life with a great career here. So I guess where should we go first? Let's talk about sports first. So that's part, I haven't really gotten into much about Salida sports on this podcast yet. So anybody who's got a kid who is either thinking of moving here with a kid or you already have a kid here and you want to get them into sports, give us a little overview.
Yeah, there's so many different things from sports that are available here. I mean, I feel like a lot of things are always growing. Lacrosse is really, coming up right now. Hockey is being talked a lot about in Chaffee County. So, but, I think really you look at the small town aspect of it. How cool is it like that you get a chance, like wrestling in Buena Vista, for example, you are getting in with a coach when you are 5 years old and you're going to be working with that same coach until you graduate. Cool. It's such a neat thing. Jared Todd has run a fantastic program up there for 20 years. He's the one that jumps out first. I mean, you look at football coaches this last year, Matt Flavin is retiring at the end of the season, but he's been coaching for 15 years.
Wow.
Had the same defensive coordinator at that school at Buena Vista for 20 plus and Kip Drawbridge. Salida has had a coach for 8 years. So it's really cool. And I think there's just so many great opportunities for people, for their kids to play a lot of different sports. I think Chaffee County has been specifically blessed with great basketball programs these last 5 years. And a lot of that came from, they had to travel early, right? Which is a little bit, that's the biggest thing when you come to Salida or Buena Vista is if you want to play a lot of tournaments, you're going to have to travel. Ask the soccer program and what they've done. I mean, soccer's been phenomenal here too over the last 20 years. You kind of get used to we're driving 2 hours to Denver or you're going 3.5 hours to Albuquerque. Like that's a pretty normal thing here. But really? The commitment level by the coaches is phenomenal. I mean, there's great coaches here. They're as good as anywhere in any city that I've been at watching, high level college to down to the high schools. I mean, these people care about their kids. It's very cool.
That's awesome. And so I know I've got friends who have kids in the city where it's extremely competitive. Yeah. I often have to pick pick one sport really early on because it stretches them too thin, or there's too much overlap, or just too much competition to be in another sport. Is that the case here?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's the big thing that is pushed in the city. A lot of people want to see them specialize. That is absolutely not the case here in Salida or Chaffee County and BV. I mean, they're really big on, no, coaches will tell you, go play another sport. Like, get lost for me for a little while, go do something else. I think, there's so many analytics out now, Monica, that I feel everybody's like, which one's best? Which one works? Do I really specialize? I tell kids to go do multiple things. And then, as you get older, you can kind of say, okay, I only want to do 2 or 3 maybe.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing. If a kid wants to play every sport, that's great. Watch a lot of 18-year-olds get really tired though after they've been doing that for 12 to 14 years, right? So, and as a parent, like, they talk about that and they're like, oh man, that's just so many things to try to go cover and go to all these games. So
yeah.
It's a great thing, but it's a little different, no doubt. Like, I grew up in the city. I grew up in Denver. So, a long drive was Colorado Springs. That was forever, right?
Sure.
And now it's like, man, a 2-hour drive is kind of nice. People like that. Some people will talk about it and call it family time. I mean, which is kind of nice. Like,
yeah.
And you get get your city things, get your fixes. But then how cool is it to come back to Chaffee County and have places like the Poncha Pub to go hang out and just grab a sandwich and take your kids into?
Yeah.
It's great to have places like that.
That makes sense. So yeah, it sounds like it's more accessible here. I mean, I have actually, our sons are in the same class at the Montessori school. So I only have from the lens of just, younger kids. So I haven't quite gotten into the competitive world yet where you have to travel as much. I actually like that we're not traveling.
Right. Well, it's such a big deal because everyone's like, oh, what's going to happen when that happens? And right, like having a young one that's 5 who does some rec stuff that, it's kind of a smaller scale situation. But at the same time, like, you watch the kids that are 10, like, that are playing soccer, like, they're going, to 8 cities in a 6-month span, it feels like. I mean, they're everywhere. And that's no different than the competitive soccer. The difference on, like, if you're in the city, you're probably flying to some tournaments. Here in Salida, they drive more so, but they will also fly to some tournaments a couple times a year.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So what's your favorite sport to cover?
Man, I have people ask me that all the time. I love to follow, like, football on the radio is so much fun. It's great, but I'm a baseball guy, so my passion has always been that. And usually people are always surprised, like, it's not basketball? You do so many basketball games. And I'm like, no, I've had to grow into basketball and how much it's become fun. But football is great, but baseball just feels like, I know, the olden times, but like, it's really about storytelling. And that's what I tell people I am. Like, I'm a storyteller. I love being in Chaffee County and sharing family stories, but also their athletes and what they've got to do. That's been a true gift to be here.
So what is a story that just off the top of your head stands out to you that you like?
One that if I'm thinking about for immediacy, I look at a young lady in Buena Vista named Evelyn Cope, who was a 3-time qualifier and wrestler, who wrestled up there. Really good kid, has worked hard, hates public speaking. And I got a chance to hear her speak on a senior project this year for her capstone. And, she just continues to push the limits. Her family's been through a lot of different things, but to get a chance to hear about the competition for her, but also being connected to Buena Vista. And then this year she decided to go out for basketball for the first time and just go be part of a different team. And I love that she's just like, I want to try a little bit of everything. I think she's going to go to the military when she gets done with high school, but she's trying to really embrace the roots here of Chaffee County and what it means to have the chance to grow up in the mountains. And then, I think someday she wants to come back, but in the meantime, it's just watching what she's gone through and how she's dealt with everything. Just a remarkable individual.
That's cool. And it sounds like a fun part of your job. Then you get to not only just talk about the game that's being, because you travel to all of these games, right?
Yeah, we do. We do over 200 live events every year, which has been wild. And I was just telling somebody about that for our basketball season's almost done with the regular season. We're going to finish up with 92 regular season basketball games. And I think I've gotten to see 16 home games. So we are on the road a lot. It is, a lot of people ask, like, how do you do that many miles and different things? And you really have to find the love and the enjoyment of it. Because I love getting a chance to be around these people. The high school kids are a lot of fun. From watching college kids from when I, spent 10 years doing that. Yep. But high school, it's a little bit more raw for them. Like, they're not sure. Yeah. They don't know what's next. And, you put that together with talent for certain seasons, and it's a lot of fun. Like, people always ask me, like, what's your favorite one? Do you like to cover the 12-0 teams or the ones that are unbeaten? And I'm like, I like the ones that are right down the middle that can play with people. Because that happens a lot. You can tell so much to people about what these individuals are made of. And, in high school, what's really cool is you get to say, what are you going to do next? And how are you going to take these experiences from the sport you played into real life when you get there? It's very cool.
Yeah, that's a good quote. And I feel like sports just in and of itself are just a really good outlet for kids. Because if they have all this time on their hands, they tend to make poor decision. So being busy with sports makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like you get to really uncover some of those stories with those families.
And it's so fun because you can tell that there are certain sports they're really good at. They've been probably playing their whole life. And then there's others like Evelyn tried basketball. It's like, man, that is going to teach her so much more. I've watched that about, a kid in Salida and Braden Johnson, who's a really good basketball player around here. She goes out and plays volleyball for the first time in like 8 years, and it's made her a better competitor. And I think, it's like you see that growth from these kids in their sport, and then you're like, man, I can't wait to see what they go do in life. Whatever job they're going to do, they're going to take that with them. Like, I'm going to go work hard. I want to get out. Like, I'm not going to shave off and take time. And that's one of my favorite things, because I think you look at youth now, and I know we were kids a few minutes ago too, right? But it, wasn't that long ago. But, it just feels so interesting watching for 20 years what's happened from high school. And then now what are kids doing now? Because there's so many more distractions. It starts with what's right in front of us in our phones. That, I worry about kids in that respect. But then I watch Salida and Buena Vista, and I'm like, man, they've got head on a swivel. Coaches do such a great job. Coaches and teachers, people that are part of the arts program, they're just as important as coaches. So the people here in Chaffee County do a great job of helping young people figure out what they're going to do in life. It's really cool.
And just be more dynamic and more resilient. I mean, that's the word that kept coming up for me when you were talking about switching sports. That's a way to build resiliency, is trying something new.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, what a skill to learn as a young person.
It's so helpful. I mean, people ask, it's like, you want to play sports forever. It's hard to do that. It's really, really hard to play in college. And, it's really hard even beyond that. And, I've gotten a chance. I've been very fortunate to watch a couple kids go be professionals now that are adults.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's very cool to tell their story. But my favorite ones are, you watch a guy like Derek White. He was a popular guy here in Colorado who got no offers. He was a 6'2" basketball player, and he was representing Team USA this past summer at the latest round of World Championships. And what he's done, he's gone through Colorado. We've seen multiple people that have they weren't big kids. He grew to be about 6'7" and 200 pounds. That helped, right? But it was like he had to learn how to be a work ethic kind of guy, starting at 14 years old, not getting a chance really to play in college right away. He ended up bouncing a few times and taking advantage of that 5th and 6th year that he went on to the NBA, and he's been, an all-star the last couple of years. It's been so cool to watch people like that. Those are the fun stories. I mean, Dalton Connect was another guy in Colorado that was in Northern Colorado that nobody wanted. He was like a 6'2" kid. He sprouted to 6'10", and now he's in the NBA. He was last playing, I think, with the Lakers. He's bounced a couple of times. But those stories are so cool because you watch the work they put in now. And that's my favorite thing about high school and early college is like you see just what they can do and how committed they can be to their craft. Because if they do put in the time, I watch a lot of people make it and they do get a chance to be a professional in their sport. It's very cool.
That is really cool. Did you do sports when you were in high school?
I did. I did. I was not nearly as talented. I played football. I had a chance to go play in college a little bit in baseball, but my body was broken by the time I was 20. So that's what happens to a lot of these kids. And when I see that now, I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate. So I found a way to stay close to it. I had people ask like, well, why don't you coach? And I actually refereed and did a lot of that stuff first, which has been incredibly helpful for my radio and television career to basically come out and be like, there's a whole other perspective. You see so many upset fans and parents yelling at referees, and I'm like, no, you try it. It's so hard. It is incredibly hard. And, I think it's been really interesting to watch from that size of everything to now I look back on a career that's gone 17 years. I've tried to get out of this profession multiple times for a variety of reasons. And every time I'm pulled back in because I love getting a chance to share stories about people. And, it's really, really cool to be able to do it here in Colorado.
Awesome.
Love that.
So one of the reasons I believe you said you came back to Salida was because of your son, right?
Yeah.
So talk about how did that work out? Well, why did you make that decision?
Yeah. I being in Denver, and when you're in a very specific career, it's hard to find certain places to go. And so, when I got an opportunity, I'd been bugged about Salida a few times. I'd looked at, the Front Range multiple times and going back there. And it's just, you look at Chaffee County, and I feel like when I think of Salida and Buena Vista, I'm like, it's welcoming. Everybody's really nice. There's a lot of things to do, and a lot of places to take, our kids out to. And I love that. I mean, I love the idea of I don't worry about my kids kid riding his bike down the street or going out and just running. I'm like, hey, obviously stay on the sidewalk and be careful, right? But like, if you're at school, like great hands. Like the schools here are phenomenal. The parents and, just getting a chance to meet someone like yourself through that, I think it's been really, really cool. And it's a different environment because I can tell you when I was in Texas, one of the things that was really, really tricky was a 10-minute drive to the grocery store. I have my son in the back seat and I'm like, I watched 2 car accidents happen on the way to the grocery store. And I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want that life. Like for my kid, like it's great to have all these places to be able to go out to and whatnot. But in 2026, I mean, there's a lot of things that are accessible other ways if you need to get your vices, and so I think it's, so great to be able to come back to a small place, make real friends, have connections, be able to talk to them face to face. I think that's something that's sort of been lost in culture a little bit. So Chaffee County offers so much of that. And I think I'm sure that's why it's no doubt exploded here over the last 15 years, but especially the COVID post era.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I mean, it's the access to the outdoors. I like to say people come for the lifestyle and stay for the community. Because, you can get your fix of outdoor stuff in a lot of places. I mean, obviously here is phenomenal, but then you've got this amazing community and support group, which is great to raise kids. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I came.
Yeah. And there's so many different opportunities work-wise that, depending on what you want to do. I mean, there's some really great people to work for that I've got to know, through business over the years that just, they want to take care of their employees. Like, it's not about like, come work for 50 hours and then go home and have no money. Like, they want to help you. Like, there's a lot of places here that I know they're like, here's a ski pass, or hey, take the day and go out on the river. I mean, we have a saying, a joking saying, but a true one. It's like time to go feed the ducks. And that means just go out and go enjoy the mountains. I mean, I love everything that the Valley has to offer from being on the river and skiing and snowboarding, but I don't do a lot of that as much anymore. And having a young kid, we do all kinds of hiking and camping and going out and just being out. And you get to find, some of the cool spots that, tourists oftentimes aren't really familiar with, which is really cool.
Sure. And there's enough that you can still avoid tourists.
Oh, yeah.
So I know when I lived in the city, it was a long drive to get to a trailhead that was packed with other people leaving the city. Whereas here you kind of know once you live here where is more popular during the summer season when we have a lot more tourists and, to strategize where you go.
Right. And what time of day you go.
Totally.
I mean, there is a huge thing. If you're a skier, man, you don't have to hit first chair here when you live here. You can go up at, midday, still get good powder and go take a couple runs and come back. You probably get back to your office if you need to get back to your office by 2:00. I know a lot of people that do that.
That's
okay.
That's and then if you go on a Tuesday, you don't really have to stand in line.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's such a big part of it too. I mean, I was thinking about that growing up in Denver. You're like, okay, if I want to go to hit a 14er, you're up at 4 a.m. at least trying to get out there. Here, you can almost sleep in and, you got a short drive to take your pick of them in the county. I mean, and even if you don't do 14ers, that's a big thing for a lot of people and they're very cool. But like, there's great waterfall hikes. There are great places you can go along streams, and you don't have to drive, but 30 minutes to find amazing ones. And you may not see a person. Totally. Right? It's very cool. I love that about here. It's totally a true secret.
There's something about just being able to easily access just true remote nature.
Yeah.
I'm not talking like trees in the park, but like true remote rugged nature. I feel like you can just exhale.
Well, in this era, and people always ask me about this, it's like, I want to go somewhere where somebody can't call me. I want to go disappear where my phone does not work. I cannot access social media. Like, I'm gone. Like, I'll be back later. If I haven't called you after this many hours, you should probably come looking for me. But other than that, it's like, make good choices. And, it's a lot of fun. And Chaffee County is amazing for that. I mean, we're so close to, the places from like Denver, like, Pagosa Springs to them is so far. And it is. But like, man, you're 2 hours from there.
Yeah. And like Crested Butte. I love
Crested Butte, Gunnison. I mean, like you can just squeeze over there, so fast. I mean, Summit County is very close. I mean, you have so many access points. It's great. This is a great place to be.
Oh, I completely agree. Well, what else? I think, I like that you have a view because on this podcast, it's called Living in Salida.
Yeah.
But, Salida is part of Chaffee County, and I don't want to leave out our lovely neighbor, Buena Vista. So I want to expand a little bit since you have more perspective in that community. Can you talk a little bit about?
Yeah.
Or we like to call it BV. I like to tell people before you add up the answer, let's talk about how we're pronouncing it. So you're listening to this podcast and you have no idea why we're pronouncing it this way. Buena Vista is how locals pronounce it, but sometimes you just say BV to make it a little easier.
If you say BV, you're going to get by, which is a good way to go. Okay. So that's a big part of it. But no, I've answered a lot of questions in the last 2 years about that for big football games. Like, why is it not Buena? Because it's like,
obviously it's
believe me, if they wanted to say it like that, they would. They know if you're not a local if you say Buena Vista.
Exactly.
And so, but no, BV is such a cool town. I love it because, it's funny. There's people that work and live in both places. Like a lot of people in the school districts, they live in opposite places. They might run Salida School, but they live in BV or they live in Nathrop,
or Howard.
Yeah, and all around, like there's people in Leadville. I mean, I feel like once you learn to drive just a little bit, because instead of the city drive of 45 minutes to go 6 miles, here you're gonna go. If you go 45 miles in 45 minutes, you're gonna find yourself almost in Leadville, or you're gonna go, like you said, you'll be down past Cotopaxi if you go down the canyon, or I have most of the way over Gunnison. So once you learn that, like it's not wall-to-wall traffic. And Buena Vista is such a cool place. I love the people up there. You get a lot more. I've met a lot more people that have been there for a little longer outside of, you find longtime Salida locals who are really cool and they have, some really neat things here. Buena Vista, you got people that were really smart 20 years ago and said, I don't think I can get into Salida. And that's kind of how it started. Like I've got several friends that are like, oh, I tried to live in Salida. I tried to work there. And you know what? Buena Vista had a more affordable community at the time. And now you look and both places have just blown. It's remarkable.
They're pretty comparable in terms of
prices. You have a little bit of that. And like, I ask people this all the time. I'm like, BV folks always come down and shop in Salida. More Salida folks should go up and shop in BV. I love going to both places. I think there's a lot of commerce between both areas. They're both a lot of fun. If you need, if you're going out for date night, there's great places. If you're like, man, I don't know where else to go. We've gone to the same 5 places or whatever, and you mind, go to Buena Vista. There's some great spots there.
Really good restaurants.
Unbelievable.
Wesley Rose is probably one of my favorites. Sure. There's a lot of good restaurants.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, we go out. I know there's pizza everywhere, but like Crave is so tasty. Main Street Tavern's a spot that opened up. That's a really cool nightlife place. That's another spot that I know everyone's like, more nightlife, where do I go? But that's such a great hangout. And Eddie Line's been fantastic over the years. They're 2 locations. They have kind of the bar atmosphere and kind of I just got done skiing, I want to go have a beer kind of place. And then their downtown restaurants just got phenomenal food, and they've got a little bit more higher end cocktails if you want to have that kind of thing. So there's great places all over Buena Vista. There's great places to go on vacation and have fun. But honestly, just looking for a day getaway, there's amazing spots out there too.
Yeah, no, there's so much to offer there as well. So there's pros and cons to both, and they're also just when I talk to people who are looking to come here to our area, I definitely encourage them to consider Buena Vista as well. Just really, sometimes people just make the decision based off of the house they can get or that sort of thing, and then just kind of figure it out after that.
Yeah, and
it's because they're great.
No, they are. And I would add, like, the school districts are awesome in both places. Like the other thing a lot of people look at now, and I get it, is both have brand new high schools. Buena Vista's is really recent. Salida's is in the last 15 years too. I mean, they've got brand new facilities in areas. They're talking about adding in both places right now. And I know kids that come from the city like, oh, I just was going to a new high school. I don't know if I want to do this, or if they move from out of state. Like, a lot of places are investing in that. Buena Vista and Salida are both doing that, which is really cool. And then you get the bonus part of, you got longtime teachers that have been there for 20 years, or you've got coaches that have been 15 and 20 years. Like, they know what they're doing because they're good people that I've gotten a chance to meet. But then you look back, they win a lot of games that they compete in. I mean, this last year we saw volleyball teams make it to the state finals. Football made the state championship again in Buena Vista, and they've done that 3 times, I think, in the last 10 years. Baseball has been really, really good in the area. Like, I mean, basketball in Salida has been really, really good for these last 5 years. So, I mean, it ebbs and flows like anywhere, but you get small town charm, but you also get that big time feel where these people will go and like, we are going to invest in, we're going to go try and play in these tournaments in Denver. We're going to play in Colorado Springs, and we're going to play against top tier teams, and they oftentimes will win. It's pretty
amazing.
Cool. It's very fun.
Really cool. So to round us off here, what keeps you here? We were kind of talking about that before.
Yeah.
Not just moving here, but it's staying here.
Staying here is
contributing to the community. But what keeps you?
I love that. No, it is. I love this place. I think it's so great. If you can learn to drive just a little bit,
okay,
you find a lot of things. And my career taught me that very early about driving is kind of going to be the way. I mean, I remember my first radio job I took, I was 4 hours away from my home or where I grew up. So it was like, that was a commitment to go back there, so, and I was driving interstates and doing a lot of driving. I actually got one part of my career working in a place and living 100 miles away from there. So that was a different deal. But like when you come to Chaffee County, you meet just remarkable people. And to your point, you talked about, you stay for the community. Everybody here is really, really cool and a lot of fun to hang out with, whether you have kids or not. But like, if you have kids, it's an unbelievable place. Like, I don't ever feel weird about like, where do we go? Like, am I going to be shamed for going to this restaurant or this brewery? And it's like, no, like, I think everybody's welcoming to that because a lot of those owners have kids and they have that. Like, so I won't say it's built in for that, but they're like, yeah, come enjoy some time with us. I mean, you can't find these things in cities. I mean, just flat out, like, if you're going to go to an upscale cocktail bar, for example, you're not taking your kids.
Yeah.
You're gonna find those types of things in Chaffee County, in Salida, in Buena Vista, and your kids can go with you if you can't find a babysitter. Like, and you're probably gonna go out with community members who probably have kids themselves, and it's like, what do we do? Oh, hey, let's go out. We'll have a good time. We'll get some pizza for the kids, and it's so much fun. And I just the relationships here, like you see people that have been here for a while, and then you see the new people that move in. Like, there's a great mix of that. I have a lot of friends where it's just new people in the area, but people that have been here their whole life. And it's really, really cool to relate on not just sports things. I know a lot of people think that's what I like to talk about or what I get
You have more depth
lumped into. Yeah, no, I know. If you can believe that. No, it's great. I think it's just great because like I love the schools. That's a big thing for me. And then having a spot for my son to be able to go run around and play. I mean that's an easy decision why to stay. And when I have friends and family that don't live here, they're always like, "Can we come visit you?"
Yeah,
that means something. Like,
totally.
Oh yeah, you know what? You're kind of in that place. That's really, really cool.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, no, I love sharing your insights. I'll say one last thing. I was remembering as we were talking that I think I initially met you at a playground. And the kids just randomly started playing together, and that's what happens a lot here. Is your kids start playing together, so you just chatted up with the parent, and then I think that was several years ago before I even started doing this podcast. So yeah, full circle. Here we go.
It's amazing how many people you meet when you go to the park, and then you find out what they do and you're like, wow, that's so cool. Whether they work remotely or they just wanted to come be out in this area and now they've been here for a little while and why they want to stay here. It's like, no, it's because of the people. Like the people, the fun things to do. If you need to get away to the city, you can go. But how cool is it that when you get that getaway, you get to come back here?
Yeah.
That I think is the magical part of Salida and Buena Vista. That's just so much fun.
I completely agree. Well, thank you so much for your insights and good luck with everything with the radio station.
Truly appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on, Malka.
All right. Thank you.